What is up, guys? Thick Cactus here. Thank you so much for stopping by. And this week, the Grandmaster difficulty Nightfalls were released for Season of Arrivals for the first time. And the opening one is a doozy, being called the hardest Grandmaster of all time due to the nature of the Corrupted Strike, its mechanics, and the modifiers. My team wasn't satisfied with a platinum rating. Instead, we went back in and only utilized gear that was surviving the fall rotation, was surviving sunsetting within the fall. So that means all of our gear is from Season of Dawn or later. No Mountaintop, no Recluse, no 21 Delirium, no Hammerhead, none of that stuff. So this is going to give you guys a great look into what kind of builds are still going to be viable within the endgame when Destiny 2 Beyond Light launches. And so, let's get started. But first, there's only one thing that got the team jazzed up enough to beat this challenge, and that is Advanced GG, baby. Get that focus flowing through your veins. You're gonna hit all your dang shots, let me tell you. Code KHD for 10% off. Now, let's talk about those loadouts because, like I said, all of my fire team members were adhering to this challenge. So we're all using just the non-sunsetting gear. So starting with myself, I'm playing a Titan, a Bubble Titan specifically. My exotic of choice is the Xenophage machine gun. And even though this is from Shadowkeep, remember, exotics do not sunset. They are usable and infusible forever. So that's very important, and it makes exotics a lot more valuable these days. In any event, this machine gun is just capable of putting out a ton of damage. The rounds are explosive, so it clears out adds very easily as well. And very importantly, it fulfills the solar weapon requirement for myself because there is some solar shielded enemies within this Nightfall. Now moving on to my legendary weapon choices. Firstly, for a primary, I'm using the Old Fashioned. I made a video on this saying that this could be one of the best, PvE hand cannons in the game. And yeah, I practice what I preach because I've put a ton of time into using this. This is my favorite hand cannon to use in endgame activities because it sports First Demolitionist, which is incredibly valuable in endgame activities like this, giving you grenades way more often, which not only lets you get kills way more often, but also helps you trigger armaments perks as well, which is incredibly valuable. But it also has explosive payload to massively extend the range of hand cannons. In case you don't know, the explosive damage is a set damage no matter the distance. So if he's right in front of you or if he's across the map, you're going to do that same damage. So it basically makes the range like way better than without explosive payload. And of course, I have unstoppable hand cannon rounds to deal with the champions. Moving on from there, my secondary weapon is something that I really didn't see a lot of people running in this GM, and that is the Trophy Hunter. So this is from Season of Dawn, just like the hand cannon, and it sports firstly triple tap, so very good against kind of a boss target, giving you rounds back as you're shooting. Now, because I have appended mag with it, I can use the backup mag mod, which brings my magazine size from originally 3 all the way to 5, and that lets me trigger triple tap twice in one magazine, giving me 7 shots total against a boss, for example, if I hit all precision shots. So that's very valuable, but really importantly, this also comes with Vorpal Weapon, 15% more damage against bosses, vehicles, and guardians with their super. So it actually also counts majors, and champions are classified as majors. So with the Trophy Hunter, it is triggering that 15% bonus damage against all of the champions, which of course is extremely valuable. And sometimes when I'm out of Xenophage ammo, I'll use my Trophy Hunter to take down champions, and it works quite well against them. There's also just a ton of mini bosses throughout this entire GM, so it's constantly being active, like way more than you'd think. You're just getting a straight 15% damage bonus. Really love this thing. I also love how it's firstly void. There's a lot of void shield, so that fulfills that requirement there. Like, yes, the Aikilo sniper is better for overall DPS, but I already have solar, like I said, so being void is very important. And it is a high impact sniper. Now, why does that matter? Well, it's not all about DPS, right? And so in these style of activities, you want to be able to kill targets with one shot, and because it's a high impact sniper, it was able to do that. You can one shot headshot a lot of the red bars, whereas with other snipers of lower damage archetypes, yeah, they're great for DPS, but if you're taking 2 shots to kill a red bar, that's not great. So, moving on to my armor, firstly, I'm using the Helm of Saint 14. Absolutely love this thing. Gives you so much more protection when using your bubble. Can't recommend it enough. And then the rest of my armor, like pretty normal stuff, but I want to point out I'm using Hive armaments and barrier, as well as Taken armaments and barrier. This is really important because these actually stack. So if you have a Taken Knight, that's both a Taken and a Hive. So if you get a grenade kill on that guy, you get like 16 rounds of Xenophage from that one grenade kill. That's absolutely insane, but it also means that the barriers stack. So you're getting a total of 40% damage reduction from incoming damage from those enemies. So those combination of those perks, yeah, those mods are very rarely come by because they're earned in raids. Well, somewhat. You can actually get the Hive mods from Menagerie. So get grinding, gamers, if you don't have them. But if you do have them, man, they make a difference. However, it's time to move on to my next teammate, Tylenol. So let's check what he is using. So we've got Night Stalker, Way of the Trapper. Then for the exotic choice, it's actually the Witherhorde. This is brand new just this season from the seasons past, but this thing is a phenomenal weapon. It lets you stick an enemy and inflict just a crazy amount of damage over a period of time. So what it lets you do is pop out of cover, shoot the Witherhorde, stick an enemy, and then just hide behind cover while that enemy dies. It's also great at just area of denial and killing multiple adds at once, and especially when you have the Witherhorde Catalyst, which gives this an auto-loading holster perk. Like, it's just a very powerful weapon. Moving on from there, something else that we really didn't see anyone else utilize is the point of the stag. Yes, the Iron Banner Pinnacle Bow. Now, this weapon also comes with Vorpal weapons, so it gets all those benefits I talked about with my Trophy Hunter, and this is our Overload weapon. Now, we're using this because all of the Overload enemies within this GM are snipers, so we're engaging them at long ranges. So a bow is capable of doing that, stunning that champion from across the map, and Xenophage doesn't really have a damage drop off, so it's more than capable of finishing those champions off. The bow is overall quite good. It's also an arc primary weapon, which did help us deal with the few arc shields that are within this GM as well. And then lastly, another very unique one, the Pyroclastic Flow. Now, this roll is actually a quick draw plus auto-loading, and it's really meant for just whipping out, shooting a shot really quickly, and then going back to your other weapons. I would kind of prefer Cluster Bomb personally for just more damage output, but make no mistake, rocket launchers like this are often overlooked, but they're quite powerful. It gives you just an option to shoot out very quickly, inflict a large amount of damage on a singleton target, but also great area of effect, so you can kill multiple, thralls charging at you or whatever, and then you can put it away. Importantly, the Pyroclastic Flow has tracking built in intrinsically, so it basically gains another perk, which is very, very powerful. Moving on to the armor, for the exotic choice, we have the Dragon's Shadow. And while this is overall pretty decent, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I can see its worth now. The fact of the matter is that I think this was accidentally left on because he was the bottom tree Night Stalker at first and then changed. And if you're bottom tree where you gain invisibility from throwing your smoke, Dragon Shadow is really good because then you can make your dodge give you extra melee energy, which is huge because you gain so much more invisibility while also reloading your weapons at the same time. But again, he switched to Way of the Trapper, so I think 6 Coyote giving you 2 dodges is straight up better here. So yeah, we're doing this challenge and we're not even 100% optimal. Anyways, moving on from there, we have my last teammate, Snurv. And Firstly, in terms of the exotic choice, we again are going with the Xenophage. Double Xenophage is pretty phenomenal at taking down champions, which you've seen in the background gameplay for sure. Now, in terms of the other legendary weapons, we have in the kinetic slot a Long Shadow. So this is a great weapon, actually got reintroduced just this season, so it has a really high infusion cap, but this can spawn with rapid hit and triple tap. So that's going to give you 5 rounds in a magazine with an extended mag perk, which Snurf does have, which means that you get 7 rounds just like mine. It's of a lesser damage archetype, but he can utilize Taken Spec. And also when you do start, triple tapping on a target, getting multiple headshots, that rapid hit perk means that you reload blindingly fast and you're right back to damaging, whereas my Trophy Hunter, it does more initial damage, but less sustained damage. So this is another great weapon that you want to get your hands on. Moving on to the primary, the Last Perdition. Another weapon reintroduced this season. So this is a Void Pulse Rifle, so it gives the advantages that I've explained before for that element. And also, the classic Outlaw plus Rampage Wombo combo, and that's still just good. Going with Taken Spec again, which normally wouldn't be a good idea because you want to deal with the champions, right? But to make up for that and allowing him to do a little bit more damage with that pulse rifle, he's actually using, as you can see, Unstoppable Pulse Rifle on his gauntlets. And that gives this pulse rifle the ability to deal with champions while also getting that little boost in damage from Taken Spec. Pretty smart idea making use of these seasonal mods. Now, speaking of the armor, however, the exotic choice is yet again Helm of Saint 14, which again I absolutely love. In fact, I convinced him to put it on because in these extremely difficult activities, if you don't have Helm and you're using Bubble, often you'll pop out and you'll completely lose your overshield and you're just going to get insta-clapped. Whereas retaining your overshield gives you a huge degree of survivability. And there's unstoppable champions. Those guys come right in the bubble, so being able to blind enemies is also quite useful. And so, those are 3 different non-rotating endgame builds. And again, we didn't just beat the Nightfall, we achieved platinum rating, which means we killed every single champion and we made it even harder on ourselves. So if you want to take on the GM with these exact loadouts, feel free. I think they're quite good, but also this is just again giving you an idea of weapons to farm for, of builds to try to recreate going into the fall expansion, because you'll be able to utilize these exact builds, and if they're good now, they're still going to be good. Obviously, there's going to be new options and a new meta when Beyond Light drops, but it's not like all this stuff will suddenly become bad. Whereas if you're running through with the mountaintop right now, it's not going to be usable in next season's GMs because it just won't be able to be infused upwards. Guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.